Hart broke your stand-up box office. What record did he break? He said he broke some record of your box office sales and for stand-up. I don't know. What did he break?
10 years in Hollywood, no one in Hollywood has a memory of going to a sold-out Kevin Hart show, there being a line for him ever getting a standing ovation at any comedy club.
Eddie Murphy just exposed why Kevin Hart's been keeping his distance from Katt Williams, and it's got everyone talking. Katt's been tossing little jabs at Kevin for years, and now Eddie's stepping in to back him up. From Katt calling Kevin an industry plant to Kevin sidestepping Katt's challenge for a live comedy face-off, the tension's been brewing for a long time. But the real question is, what's Kevin so scared of? Eddie Murphy, known for staying out of the messy comedy drama, finally broke his silence. For years, he kept it cool. No shade, no beefs, no gossip. But when Kevin Hart's name came up, that calm disappeared fast.
Seeing your stuff on social media, boy, I know what you do. But you do it for play.
In his latest interview, he didn't hold back. His tone was smooth and chill, but every word cut deep. It's clear there's way more behind this than just jokes. When Eddie Murphy was asked about Kevin Hart supposedly breaking his stand-up box office record, he didn't even blink. Cool, calm, and collected. Eddie just smiled and dropped a reminder that Raw is still the #1 box office concert film in history. And here's the kicker, he hasn't even touched the comedy stage in 27 years. That's power. Then he laughed and threw in a line that had everyone talking. Now I gotta get back on stage, cause I want that record back, Kevin. It sounded lighthearted, sure, but anyone who knows Eddie knows that when he delivers a line with that grin, there's truth hiding behind it. He doesn't play around when it comes to comedy legends and legacy. So what does this little jab have to do with Kevin being scared of Katt Williams? Way more than you think. Eddie, the gold standard of comedy, the icon everyone looks up to, just called Kevin's crown into question right in public. And trust me, that didn't come out of nowhere. Kevin Hart's been grinding for years to keep that clean-cut, family-friendly image, polished, marketable, and money-making. But when someone like Eddie Murphy, who's been in the game longer than most comedians haven't been alive, starts questioning how that success really came about, things start shaking. Eddie's words cracked open a door, and once that happens, people start digging deeper. And that's exactly what Katt Williams steps in with no fear and zero filter. Katt didn't just throw shade, he lit the whole room on fire. In interview after interview, he's gone straight for the jugular, accusing Kevin of being an industry plant. He said Kevin was fast-tracked, protected, and pushed to the top, not because of raw talent, but because he was willing to play nice, willing to avoid real conversations, and willing to keep quiet about who's really running the show. It wasn't just talk. Katt came armed with receipts. Katt Williams dropped a bomb when he claimed that for a full 5 years, every big movie that ended up in Kevin Hart's hands had first been offered to him. But here's the wild part. Katt Williams claimed those offers came with strings attached. He claimed the roles often came with parts he wasn't okay doing, like the step and fetch it type, or scenes that didn't sit right with him. When he refused to play along, those same scripts magically slid over to Kevin. That's some serious Hollywood talk right there. Now throw in Eddie Murphy's slick reminder that Kevin's so-called box office record might not even be real, and suddenly Kevin's untouchable image starts to wobble. It starts looking less like destiny and more like a mix of perfect timing, deep connections, and a whole lot of silence. And maybe that's why Kevin keeps dodging Katt, because it's not about fear of confrontation, it's about exposure. Katt's been around long enough to see the deals, hear the pitches, and call out what others won't. Where Katt said no, maybe Kevin said yes, and that changes everything. This drama's not about fame anymore, it's about credibility. This whole situation isn't just about fame anymore, it's about credibility. In a world where power always protects its own, the last thing Kevin Hart wants is for Katt Williams or Eddie Murphy to keep running their miles. Eddie's comments might have sounded playful at first, but let's be real, they came from somewhere deep. When a legend like Eddie steps out and publicly questions another comedian's success, people start looking twice at everything they thought they knew. And when it comes to Kevin, that reevaluation goes way beyond ticket sales and box office records. It sparks bigger questions. How exactly did Kevin climb to the top? Who was really in his circle while he was rising up? And what choices did he make behind closed doors to stay there? there. One of those choices is now getting dragged back into the spotlight, a flashy party in Las Vegas all the way back in 2010. The event was held in honor of Diddy, and guess who was right in the center of it all? Kevin Hart himself, not as a guest, but as the host. That detail alone has people talking all over again. Back then, that Vegas night was brushed off as just another wild celebrity bash, but the story's taken a dark twist. Recently, footage from that same party is resurfaced, and in today's light, it hits way different. In one clip, Kevin's caught in a small, dimly lit bathroom surrounded by women in bikinis. The candles flicker, the room's packed, and the vibe feels totally chaotic. Then things take a scary turn. One woman's hair actually catches on fire. Instead of rushing to help, Kevin and the others burst out laughing. The cameras keep rolling, the music keeps blasting, and not one person steps in to stop what's happening. It's all treated like just another moment for the camera. No concern, no pause, just chaos and laughter. In another clip, Kevin faces the camera crew directly and warns them not to film near a certain area of the room, right where Diddy's sitting. He doesn't explain why, but when the camera accidentally pans too far, it catches a quick glimpse of that corner, and that tiny moment is what sent social media into a frenzy. Once that clip resurfaced, people started asking the obvious questions. Why was Kevin so eager to keep cameras away from that part of the room? What was really happening behind the scenes at that party? The issue here isn't about guilt, it's about proximity. Kevin wasn't just some random face in the crowd that night. He was running the show. He helped organize it, kept the energy flowing, and played host like it was his own event.
Are we ever gonna see you on stage again doing stand-up?
I'm gonna do it again because I got to break Kevin's new record. I got to get back on the stage because this new record that Kevin got, I got to have it back.
When things turned risky, he laughed it off like it was all part of the fun. He didn't look shocked or uncomfortable. He looked right at home. And that matters now more than ever because of what's come to light in recent years. In 2024, federal investigators accused Diddy of running what they called freak-offs, exclusive, invite-only parties allegedly tied to drugs, exploitation, and other serious misconduct. Several lawsuits and witness statements claimed these weren't just wild celebrity parties, they were something far darker. Now, to be crystal clear, Kevin Hart hasn't been accused of any crimes, and there's no evidence connecting him to those illegal activities. But that's not really the point. The focus is on presence. He was there, in that room, on camera, laughing and guiding the night while the atmosphere around him was spiraling out of control. It's that blurred line between entertainment and awareness that's got everyone talking. So when people notice how tense Kevin Hart gets or how he dodges certain questions these days, it suddenly makes sense. The footage is out there, the timeline lines up, and the connections are undeniable. And when paparazzi caught him off guard asking about his link to Diddy, Kevin didn't set the record straight, he just brushed it off and moved on. That silence only made things worse, because when people see visual evidence and you stay quiet, it makes it look like there's something you don't want to say. That hush-hush reaction added more fuel to the mystery, and maybe, just maybe, that's what Eddie Murphy was hitting at when he subtly challenged Kevin's image. Eddie wasn't only questioning Kevin's achievements, he was digging at what they were built on. Once that Vegas party footage started making the rounds online, fans and critics began pulling up old moments from Kevin's career, and that's when a pattern started to show. Sure, he's always been presented as the hard-working, family-centered comedian with the clean-cut hustle story, but his real-life timeline paints a more tangled picture. Back in 2013, Kevin Hart was arrested in Los Angeles for driving under the influence. Reports say he was speeding through the streets and nearly slammed into a tanker truck. Police noted clear signs of intoxication, and to his credit, Kevin later admitted publicly that he'd been drinking and made a bad call. He owned up to it, but the incident still left a mark on how people saw his perfect image. Then came the 2017 cheating scandal, one of the biggest hits to Kevin Hart's polished image. At the time, he'd been married to Enrico Parrish for just over a year when a shocking video leaked online showing him in what looked like a compromising situation with another woman in Las Vegas. Things got even messier when reports surfaced claiming someone tried to extort him using that same footage. The headlines exploded overnight. Kevin eventually went online and dropped a public apology video to his wife and kids saying, "I made a bad error of judgment. It was raw, but the damage was already done." Later, Eniko confirmed in Kevin's Netflix documentary that she was actually pregnant when all this happened. That made the whole situation sting even more. But that wasn't the only controversy hanging over Kevin's career. Old stand-up clips and tweets from the late 2000s resurfaced in 2018, right after he was announced as the host for the Academy Awards. Some of those jokes about the LGBTQ+ community reignited major backlash. Critics called the jokes offensive, and when Kevin initially refused to issue a fresh apology, the internet turned up the pressure fast. Eventually, he stepped down from hosting the Oscars and released an apology on social media, but by then, the damage control came too late. And here's the real takeaway. None of these incidents happened in isolation. Each time, the pattern looked eerily similar. First came the denial or the deflection, then came the delayed apology once the public caught on. These weren't just streaks of bad luck. They were risky choices made by someone more focused on shaping the story than facing the full truth. And that's exactly why the questions about Kevin's credibility keep piling up, because when the same pattern repeats, people stop calling it coincidence. Because whether it's a late-night party surrounded by bad optics or a headline-grabbing scandal that blows up his image, Kevin Hart's reactions always seem to come too late. He's built a reputation for only stepping forward when he's got no other move left on the board. It's not proactive, it's damage control every single time. And what really raises eyebrows is the company he keeps. Kevin keeps showing up in rooms with powerful figures who now carry some very serious allegations. His long-standing friendship with Diddy, who's currently under heavy fire for disturbing accusations tied to his private events and business moves, keeps resurfacing. And while Kevin hasn't been accused of any crimes, his name keeps floating around those same conversations, ones about silence, protection, and proximity to power. It's not just about breaking laws, it's about the choices he's made, the circles he stayed loyal to, and the moments when he chose silence over distance. These patterns don't feel accidental, they feel calculated, like every move was about keeping status and influence intact. Then came Katt Williams' viral 2024 sit-down on Club Shay Shay, and wow, he didn't hold back for a second. This wasn't just another interview, it was a full-blown expose on what's been eating away at him about the comedy world. And right there, front and center, was Kevin Hart. For Katt, the core issue wasn't just personal beef, it was about how fast Kevin shot to the top. In his eyes, Kevin's rise didn't follow the rough, grinded-out path that most stand-up legends had to walk. It was too smooth, too polished, too supported. And that's exactly what Katt Williams called out during his Club Shay Shay interview. And he wasn't just venting, he was breaking down inconsistencies that plenty of people had overlooked.
Do you think a plant is? Maybe people don't understand the definitions of these words.
Katt pointed straight at Kevin's backstory, the one polished and packaged in his Netflix documentary with Chris Rock. The series painted this picture of Kevin as a raw East Coast talent who fought his way up from Philly to Hollywood. But Katt questioned how that version made sense when Kevin was also popping up in Los Angeles early on, far earlier than someone supposedly still grinding their way up the East Coast scene. So how was he out here in LA doing the same thing at the same time? Katt asked. It didn't happen. That's when the word plant came into play, not as a punchline, but as a real accusation. In Katt's words, a plant is someone placed into the system, handed opportunities most comedians could only dream of, and then sold to the public like they earned it from the ground up. From Katt's view, Kevin's story just didn't add up. The movie roles, the sponsorships, the lightning-fast success, it all looked too perfect. It didn't feel like the product of years of grinding. It felt like someone opened the right doors for him. And Katt wasn't afraid to say it out loud. He wanted answers. Kevin's addressed claims like this before. Back in the 2014 Oprah Prime interview, he was asked head-on about the so-called myth of overnight success. Hollywood has a way of making everything look like an overnight success, Kevin said in that Oprah Prime interview. But I've had 18 years in the business. I put in my time. I got dues that have been paid and paid again and paid one more time. He explained that he had spent years studying comedy greats like Eddie Murphy and Chris Rock, learning from both their mistakes and their wins. His home, he said, was covered with pictures of those legends, constant motivation to reach their level. What separates me, Kevin told Oprah, is my drive. My drive is other people's success. But to Katt Williams, that speech didn't hit the real issue. He wasn't saying Kevin didn't work hard. He He was asking who helped him move faster than anyone else ever could. Most comedians grind for years before Hollywood even notices them. Yet somehow, Kevin got fast-tracked, and that's the part Katt couldn't ignore. As the conversation about Kevin's rise kept getting louder, Katt took it even further. He stopped focusing just on Kevin and went after the system itself. He called out Hollywood's fake image of being fair, a place where talent supposedly floats to the top on its own. Katt said that's not how it really works. In his eyes, the industry is built on gatekeepers, real ones, people who pick who gets in, who gets pushed, and who gets buried. And here's where it got explosive. Katt claimed Kevin wasn't just one of the chosen ones anymore. He'd become one of those gatekeepers. To back that up, Katt brought up Kevin's close connection to another major comedy star, Tiffany Haddish. Tiffany Haddish might be a household name today thanks to her breakout role in Girls Trip and her unforgettable stint hosting Saturday Night Live, but her road there was anything but easy. She's been open about her rough beginnings, sharing stories of being homeless, living out of her car, and hustling to survive while chasing her comedy dream. In a 2018 Vanity Fair interview, Tiffany revealed that during those hard times, it was Kevin Hart who stepped in to help. They were both performing at the Laugh Factory when Kevin noticed she was sleeping in her car. Without hesitation, he handed her $300 and told her to grab a hotel room for the night. Then he sat her down and told her to write out her goals step by step and start working toward them one at a time. Tiffany took that advice seriously. She checked into a motel, pulled out a notebook, and started listing everything she wanted. Dream roles, people she hoped to work with, and long-term goals she refused to let go of. Slowly but surely, those goals started coming true. But the Katt Williams wasn't buying the fairy tale version of her rise. During his fiery appearance on V103's Frank and Wanda in the Morning, he questioned whether Tiffany Haddish had really earned the label of top comedian. He didn't hold back, saying, "Haddish has been doing comedy since she was 16. You can't tell me your favorite Tiffany Haddish joke." And then he hit the audience with a question that stirred the pot. Why not? His answer, because she hasn't done a tour yet. She hasn't done a special. Katt didn't just question her resume, he went after her credibility as a stand-up. He wondered aloud whether Tiffany wrote her own material, whether she could command a crowd for a full hour, and whether Hollywood was using her image before she'd had the chance to grow into the spotlight she'd been handed. Things got tense when he turned up the heat even more, saying they already ready to down Monique and up somebody who has showed them Girls Trip. Did you think she wrote Girls Trip, goofball? Or do you think that was already a script and they handed it to her? That jab hit hard. Host Wanda Smith immediately stepped in to defend Tiffany, but by then, Katt had already lit the match. When host Wanda Smith defended Tiffany, saying people loved her because she was real, Katt Williams fired right back. "Since when did being real become a marketable product?" he snapped. Then he pushed the conversation even deeper, implying that part of her popularity came from how openly she joked about being attracted to white men, especially Brad Pitt. Katt claimed that image helped her move more easily through an industry still controlled by old familiar power dynamics. He wrapped up his rant by pointing out what he saw as the real injustice, how other seasoned black female comedians were still being ignored. Lou Anel, Miss Laura, Melanie Comachar. These women been putting in work for decades, but the industry ain't lining up for them. It was a heavy point, and it hit home for a lot of people who've watched those same legends struggle for recognition.
Yeah. The water was deeper though.
Came up, flame was gone. At that time, I was in panic. I had asthma. It was a difficult situation.
But Kevin Hart didn't stay silent after that. He popped up on the Breakfast Club alongside Tiffany Haddish, ready to clap back. Looking straight into the camera, he addressed Katt directly. "You had the shot," Kevin said. "You was set up to be the star, but you didn't show up to work. You missed promo shoots, you missed opportunities, you became a risk." He accused Katt of tearing down someone else's shine instead of owning up to the choices that derailed his own career. What made this round of Katt's criticism different wasn't just the shade or the names he dropped, it was how specific he got. He laid out exact details about movie deals that supposedly never happened and explained why. According to Katt, nearly every comedy film Kevin starred in over a 5-year stretch had been offered to him first, but he turned them down. Why? Because he said the scripts were full of stereotypes and scenes he didn't believe in. "I'm not against comedy," Katt said, "but I'm not going to take shortcuts. I'm not going to play something I don't believe in." That one statement set off another storm because it wasn't just about art anymore. It was about values, image, and who Hollywood really rewards. Just to get ahead, Katt said, explaining that when he tried suggesting edits to scripts that felt off or offensive, his feedback got ignored, and then, like clockwork, those same roles landed right in Kevin Hart's lap, untouched. That comment tied back to something Katt had been talking about for years, the long-running idea that certain black male actors are pressured to wear dresses for laughs, as if it's some kind of unspoken rite of passage in Hollywood. That theory isn't new. It's been brought up before by comedians like Dave Chappelle, who also questioned why it seems like certain boundaries always get pushed in one direction. Katt revisited that same topic during an interview promoting Scary Movie 5, where he once again called out the pattern. Around that exact time, Kevin Hart had just done a sketch on Saturday Night Live, and yes, he appeared in a dress. To Kevin, it was just harmless comedy, another funny bit on a legendary show. But to Katt, that moment stood for something way deeper. It wasn't about the outfit, it was about what it represented. A willingness to play along with whatever the industry demanded, even if it meant reinforcing old stereotypes. In Katt's eyes, that right there was the real difference between them. Katt's belief is simple. He got pushed aside because he wouldn't play the game. He said no to roles that didn't feel right, refused to stay silent, and challenged the system that signs the checks. And because of that, he believes Hollywood moved on without him. Kevin Hart, though, sees himself as the hustler who never stopped. Someone who said yes when others said no, treated every opportunity like it could be his last, and built his platform one calculated move at a time. But here's the thing, Katt Williams isn't the only one who's called out Kevin Hart for his behind-the-scenes moves. Mo'Nique has also been dropping bombshells of her own, claiming Kevin straight up ghosted her when she was going through some of her darkest times. Back then, she was under fire from Hollywood heavyweights like Oprah Winfrey and Tyler Perry, and according to Mo'Nique, Kevin was one of the people who promised to have her back, until he didn't. And if that's not enough to make people look twice, there's been plenty of talk that Kevin's been getting extra cozy with both Oprah and Tyler, two of the biggest power players in the game. Flashback to 2021, there was a memorable episode of Kevin Hart's Comedy Gold Mines podcast, where he sat down with the legendary Mo'Nique herself. The two went deep, talking about her rise in comedy, the battles she's fought, and where she stands now after all the chaos. If you're not caught up, Mo'Nique had a long, rocky history with both Oprah and Tyler Perry. Trust me, that story runs deep. During that heartfelt conversation, Mo'Nique opened up about how rough things had gotten. Her family was struggling, and she felt cornered. Kevin, being his usual smooth self, stepped in with what sounded like genuine support. He told her she was like family to him, a mother, an aunt, sister rolled into one, as he put it. But he didn't stop there. He promised to take action. Kevin admitted he didn't really have a close connection with Oprah, but he said he'd reach out to Tyler Perry personally to try and help fix things, and he actually did it. After what he described as a heartfelt conversation with Perry, Kevin came back to Mo'Nique with what sounded like good news. Tyler was supposedly ready to let the past go and move forward. It sounded like a Hollywood peace deal in the making, but as Mo'Nique later revealed, things weren't nearly as simple as Kevin made them sound. Kevin Hart tried to play the peacemaker in all of it, stepping into the role of the voice of reason. He told Mo'Nique, "Let's leave all that negativity in the rearview mirror, Mo. We got bigger things to accomplish together." It sounded like classic Kevin, smooth, optimistic, and business-minded. But according to Mo'Nique, his generosity didn't stop there. In a candid chat with Shannon Sharp, Mo'Nique revealed that Kevin didn't just offer emotional support, he also came through professionally. She said he told her he wanted to partner with her, even offering to produce any project she wanted to bring to life. Mo'Nique recalled Kevin's exact words, "Mo, I talked to Tyler. He said he didn't want to revisit it, but I'll tell you what, let's move past that, Mo. Let's just do great things together. Don't even worry about it. Whatever you want to do, I'll partner with you. I'll produce with you. You just let me know." It sounded like a dream deal. Kevin Hart, one of the biggest comedy powerhouses in Hollywood, promising to use his influence to help her bounce back. Mo'Nique even shared that Kevin went beyond words and actually lent her money, a big sum too. She made it clear that she paid him back with interest just to keep things professional and clean.
Already had his deals when he got here. Have we heard of a comedian that came to LA and in his first year in LA, he had his own sitcom on network television and had his own movie called Soul Plane that he was leading? No.
But here's where things started to take a turn and where the story gets juicy. After all those big promises, Kevin allegedly told her he'd help get her talk show back on track, and naturally Monique was hyped. Who wouldn't be? Having Kevin Hart on board as an executive producer could have taken any project straight to the top. It looked like a new chapter for Monique, but behind the scenes, things weren't lining up the way she expected. So Monique's over the moon. She rushes to tell her team and Endemol, her media production company, that Kevin Hart's officially on board. Everyone's hyped. They're thrilled at the idea of teaming up with one of the biggest names in Hollywood. Kevin's name alone could open doors most people only dream of. But then, plot twist. Just 2 weeks later, Monique gets blindsided by some crushing news. Endemol calls and drops a bomb. Kevin Hart's manager, Dave Becky, reached out to say Kevin has suddenly gotten cold feet. Stunned, Monique picks up the phone and calls Kevin directly, hoping for a real explanation. And what does she get? A vague, half-hearted reassurance. "We'll talk Tuesday, don't worry about it," he says. Tuesday comes and goes, then weeks turn into months. Fast forward 2 years and nothing. Not a single follow-up, no text, no call, no meeting. Total silence. That's when the internet detectives jumped in. Fans started connecting dots and raising eyebrows, wondering if Kevin ever really planned to help Monique in the first place. Some even began whispering that maybe his promises were just PR talk, something to look good in the moment without any real intent to follow through. And then came the wildest theory of all. The rumor mill started spinning fast, claiming Kevin's tight ties with Hollywood powerhouses like Oprah Winfrey and Tyler Perry might have kept him from backing Monique. According to the whispers, helping her might have put his career relationships at risk. Now, whether there's truth to any of that is up for debate, but one thing's clear. Eddie Murphy's recent comments about Kevin just reignited the fire. What started as a comedy rivalry has turned into a full-blown conversation about loyalty, power, and how far people are willing to go to protect their spot at the top. When a comedy legend like Eddie Murphy publicly questions your achievements, it's not just casual shade, it's an open invitation for everyone else to start digging. Once someone with Eddie's weight and credibility starts raising questions, the whole game changes. Because here's the truth. When you lose the respect of icons like him, no amount of box office numbers, sold-out tours, or social media clout can ever buy it back. That kind of respect is earned, not bought. And once it's gone for good. Anyway, that wraps it up for this one. What do you think about Kevin Hart's rise, Eddie's comments, and Katt Williams' claims? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what side you on. Don't forget to hit that like button, smash that subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next deep dive.